Phenomenal will, phenomenal story. Next on Ryan Shazier's 50 Phenoms, from cancer treatments to triathlons.
I said, you know what, I have a lump in my chest, but I'm sure it's nothing. Within 10 days, after a couple of tests, they told me I had breast cancer.
In this episode of 50 Phenoms, Ryan Shazier talks with Anne-Marie, a hairstylist from Erie, Pennsylvania.
I had reconstruction surgery after my first half marathon. I had to have it redone a couple months later, and then I had to have 2 more surgeries on top of that.
It definitely seems like you had a positive mindset throughout the whole thing. You know, your family was truly with you, and amazing to have great care.
Anne-Marie was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2009. 4 years later, she was told she had breast cancer. The news didn't devastate her, it motivated her to achieve things she never thought possible.
Hey, how you doing, Anne-Marie?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. So I see we're in a hair salon. I don't really come here often, so why are we here?
I'm a hairstylist. I've been doing hair for 36 years. Even through my sicknesses and things like that, I mean, I had to take a little time off of work.
That makes a lot of sense then. When I first arrived here, I normally would drop my son off from my wife. I wasn't getting nothing done, so I just wanted to make sure.
I can do that. My husband wears that same hairstyle, so you know, I could do that for you.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me a little bit before you found out that you had multiple sclerosis?
Yeah, I was in my 40s. I noticed some things that were happening to me. I would stumble a little bit more. I'd get a little bit dizzy, a lot of headaches, vision, you know, things that maybe everybody else would have, but you wouldn't put them all together. And then I started noticing things with my immune system. I got shingles, I had mono. One day I had something go on with my vision. And I was a pretty healthy person. Nobody in my family had MS or anything like that, and my doctor suggested that I have an MRI. Well, after a couple of MRIs and a lot of blood work and a spinal tap, I got a phone call at work in my salon. I get all my good phone calls at work, and it was my doctor. She said, Anne-Marie, I hate to tell you this, but you have MS. I said, no, I don't. No, I'm healthy. And she said, yeah, you do. And so we're gonna have to change some things. I remember walking up the driveway. My husband was in the garage working, and I came home. The doctor called me. I said, I have MS. And my husband's wonderful and said, honey, we're going to get through this. I just said to him, I promise you, I'll be the healthiest sick person I can be. That kind of started me a little bit on taking care of myself better and eating and doing more things. And well, actually, I called my doctor and I said, I'm training for a 10K race. What do I do? And she said, don't stop moving. Keep moving. I said, all right, we're going to do that. So most of my 40s was just exercising and things like that, thinking, well, I have MS. This is going to be my thing I have to deal with. And I would see other people who have it, go to seminars and different things like that, and I think, okay, I could be in a wheelchair someday. What's going to happen to me? But right now, just got to stay healthy. That's what I thought, you know, my big hurdle was going to be.
Did you end up running that 10K?
I did. In the snowy, rainy, terrible conditions as it was, and my husband drove me down, and I just remember him watching me, and I don't know if he was worried that something was going to happen to me, if I was going to fall or whatever, but that was a big day. Just after, especially my diagnosis and stuff like that, I thought, okay, here we go.
I'm extremely happy for you. With MS or without it, I don't know if I could do a 10K, so.
Well, I don't know. You have 2 boys, and I remember having my kids and thinking, I have 2 boys, I have a husband who played minor league baseball and stuff. I got to keep up with them. You know, and then you get something like that, and I thought, okay, but they've been real encouraging along the way.
So then you have another hiccup and you find out that you have breast cancer. How was that experience?
I was working out, I pulled a muscle, and I went like this, and I thought, well, that feels odd. So I called my doctor, I said, you know what, I have a lump in my chest, but I'm sure it's nothing. And the next day I was in her office, and within 10 days, after a couple of tests, they told me I had breast cancer. And again, I was at work in my salon, and I get a phone call, and the doctor says, you know, can we talk to you? And I said, yeah, sure, you know, what's up? He goes, Anne-Marie, I'm sorry, it's positive, you know, you have breast cancer. I said, now what do I do? He said, don't worry, you're gonna be okay, we're gonna get you into the doctors. Went home again, my husband was there, and I walked up the driveway, and I hugged him, and I said, honey, it's positive. He said, okay, we're gonna get through this, what do we gotta do, you know? And I remember him looking at me and going, you're not dying today. And I said, you're right. I said, let's see where this takes us. That was in August. Well, I got diagnosed in July. In August, I was in the hospital having a double mastectomy. On my 50th birthday in September, I was having chemotherapy.
On your 50th birthday?
Yeah, on my 50th birthday.
That's not the nicest birthday gift.
When you get to be 50, you're in a transition as it was. You know, my boys are getting older. You start to think, oh, what do I want to do with the second half of my life? And so as I was sitting there getting the chemo, I said, okay, God, filter this chemo. Jesus, you take the bad stuff, you give me the good stuff, and I promise that I'll be a good steward of this body. Here we go. We had chemotherapy. I couldn't work in the salon. I just couldn't stand behind a chair and do someone's hair and give them my all. I went back after my chemotherapy and did work through the radiation.
You're telling me you had MS and breast cancer at the same time?
I did. One of the toughest days, I was sitting outside, and I've always said one of my favorite scripture verses is, you know, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I'm sitting in the driveway going, can I do this? Here I gotta put my money where my mouth is, God. Can I go through this? I said, let me see all the things you put in front of me to help me through it. Let me enjoy this journey somehow. And then I was concerned that my MS could get worse with it. You know what? It stayed at bay. So now I thought I had one thing, now I got another thing, now I have this lovely thing to work through. So that's where we went with that.
Yeah, so I got that same tattoo in college. Once I got hurt, I had to start talking to myself and say I have to practice what I preach. You know, you see a lot of people dealing with the same issues, but you never expect you would be dealing with it with yourself.
I know, especially, where's your tattoo?
I actually have it right here.
On your arm?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my son's around your age, so when I was going through my stuff, he was in college. He said, Mom, you know what I want to do? I want to get a tattoo right on my arm. I want to get a nice cross. I'm going to hang an orange ribbon for MS and a pink ribbon for breast cancer. What do you think, Mom? I said, you know what? My diseases are not going to be on your arm for the rest of your life. I said, and when you're married, which you'll be getting married soon, you can do whatever you want. I said, but that was his way of trying to get a little tattoo in there.
So I snuck my first tattoo in by actually getting my parents' names. So I got my mom, my dad, and my grandparents. So I was like, you know, I put everybody in there, so I kind of snuck it in there, so.
That's funny, but that scripture, you're right. Am I gonna be strong enough to do it and to live it? So God throws a lot of interesting things our way to help. About 6 months into my stuff, I said, you know, I always wanted to know if I could run a half marathon. I wonder if I can do it before I turn 51. How cool would that be in my 50s, you know? I go to the Y, which has been a wonderful release for me. And you stand next to these people and you take a boot camp class, you know, run on the treadmill. One day I said, hey, I'm thinking about running a half marathon. Anybody want to do that with me here in Erie? And believe it or not, like 5 or 6 women said, yeah, I'll do that with you. So that was one of our first little journeys we started off with. I found a workout plan online and we set up a schedule. None of us had really run before. And before you know it, it's almost a year to the date that I was in having a double mastectomy. I was running a half marathon. So yeah, that was really pretty cool.
So can you remind me how long a half marathon is?
13 miles. I think it's like 13.1. Can't forget the 1. It was a really unbelievable day. Just to cross that finish line and say, I'm not done yet. I'm still going. I couldn't believe I did it. I couldn't believe I crossed the line. My friends were with me. My family was waiting for me at the end. My boys were so proud. I mean, it was amazing.
So do you feel like exercise is something that truly helped you overcome a lot of your adversity?
Yes, it did. One of the things I said when I was having chemotherapy, I said to the doctors, when I get chemo, do you want to keep it in your body as long as it can to work, or do I want to get it out? And she said, once it's in your body, get rid of it. Drink a lot of water. She said, you're going to feel good on the steroids. Go out and walk. Every day after I'd get chemo, somebody would come to my house, either a friend or a family member, and we'd walk and walk and walk, because the first like 48 hours you'd have a little bit more energy, and then I would get sick. It was a wonderful release, and it kept me in the back of my mind thinking, I'm not in a wheelchair yet. I'm still going. Let's see what my body can do. I know before I turned 50, my husband and I were sitting and talking one day, and I saw some pictures of some people working out and in kayaks, and I said, honey, I want to be those people. Why can't we be those people? I just don't want to sit and get old and be sick. I want to do this while I still can. On my 50th birthday, while I was getting chemo, he brought me a card, and there was money in it, and it was a picture of a couple in a kayak and different sporting, pictures, and he said, we're going to be those people. I promised you we're going to be those people. I took off from there and thought, well, let's see what I can do.
You ran a half marathon, so what are some other things that you...
Yeah, actually I've run 5 half marathons. I had reconstruction surgery after my first half marathon, and it didn't go so great, so I had to have it redone a couple months later. And then I had to have 2 more surgeries on top of that. So I was exercising as much as I could. I was restricted on a lot of things. Well, after the last surgery, I was just at home and I turned a funny way. And I had this horrific pain going down my back and my leg. And I went to the doctors, and here I had 2 bulging discs. I thought, now what am I going to do? You know, I can't even move. Well, luckily, during that 6-month time where I really couldn't run because of all the different surgeries and I couldn't lift weights or anything like that, a friend of mine said, come on, let's get in the pool. Let's go swim. We were in the pool together. Granted, I never swam before. My girlfriend taught me how to swim. I mean, I knew how to basic swim, and I took a couple lessons. So I got in the pool. And during my different surgeries, I had to wear a prosthetic in my bathing suit. I didn't have to, but it looked so odd, I needed to. So one day I was swimming and I had these horrible goggles on. My son got me like these dark goggles, and we're swimming, and somebody 3 lanes over goes, hey, is this yours? And I said, what? And I can't see it. I'm looking around, and it was my prosthetic that just floated across the pool. So I said, yeah, it's mine. I ran and shoved it back in and went from there. As horrible, like embarrassing as that was, my swimming, when I hurt my back, I had learned how to swim. And what a gift that was, because that whole summer, all I could do was be in the pool. That's how they got my back healthy. Well, I swam so much that the following year, a friend of mine said, hey, we have this bay swim. It goes from the peninsula side, it's in the bay, over to the yacht club. It's a mile swim across the bay in open water. And she said, what do you think? You want to try it? And so I did. And nervous as heck, but we ended up swimming the bay. So I've done that twice. Yeah, I mean, and for me, I mean, I'm not an athletic person, so, but these things were amazing. So I've done, I did the half marathons, I've done 2 bay swims, and then there was a class at the Y that said, if you want to learn how to do a triathlon, sign up for this class. So just a sprint triathlon, which would be like a 1/4 mile swim in open water, 13-mile bike, and a 3.5-mile run. Again, a crazy friend from the Y says, let's try it. So I said, why not? And we took the class, and then that summer, we did our first triathlon.
So how did you do?
Well, I wasn't last. We were close, but I wasn't last. And the open water swim was a little overwhelming. It was good. I've done 3 in total.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So can you explain to me what it was like going through chemo?
It was really rough. There were some days that I was so sick it was hard to get up. Luckily, I handled it, though I knew after my second treatment, my hair started falling out. So I knew that day was coming. I did not look forward to that. That was a rough day. I remember going into the bathroom, just looking at myself in the mirror, and being a hairdresser, of course, I had clippers at home, and not a whole lot of hair on my head. Just took the clippers and I just shaved my head and walked out. And there's my husband, who is also bald. He's so sweet. He goes, oh, you look cute. And I say, yeah, no, I don't, but this will be all right. Yeah. And that was a really, really rough day. But that night we were laying in bed and he was laughing. He said, this just isn't right. I said, what? He goes, we got 2 bald people in bed. I said, I know. I said, and I know you can identify with that because your hair never grew, right?
So I lost my hair when I was 5 years old, probably from 5 till about 12. Like sometimes I have patches, so I have to cut it every now and then. My mom had taught me how to use a razor when I was younger, and I used to shave my head before school every morning. After about 13 years old, like all my hair just fell out, and I didn't have to shave me and cut it anymore. I talk to my wife about that all the time. My wife, she has a lot of hair. And she was like, yeah, I'm about to cut my hair. And me and her just joke around. I was like, man, we don't need 2 bald people in the house.
It's cold. Yeah. It's cold. Someone made me a little hat, and we laid in bed, and I said, oh, Scott, I'm cold. He goes, I told you it's cold not having hair, Yes. It's different. You think, oh, isn't that, she shaved her head, she's wearing a wig, but that's a tough one. Yeah. That's a tough one. And just to, look at your spouse and go, this is it. This is me.
Do you feel like when you had to cut your hair, like looking in the mirror, you felt that was your lowest point?
Yeah. That was a tough day. That was a really, really tough day. It was so real. I mean, when you have cancer, you think, oh, it's okay. And then, being a hairdresser, I thought, oh, well, it'll be fun. I'll wear wigs. But then when you're standing there in the mirror and you're shaving your head and you are bald, and then to walk out of the bathroom and, oh, my kids were so great. I mean, my younger son, took his hair down to almost nothing. It was so real. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm that person. I'm this person with cancer. We're also a foster family for an adult with with special needs. Dale is mentally challenged. He's turning 55, but he's lived with us for 13 years. To come downstairs and have him see me bald. And he was so cute. And he's like, Emery, you gonna be okay? I said, oh, I'm gonna be fine, honey. I'm gonna be fine. I'm nuts as it is, but my boys, I would lay in bed at night. They would always tease me because they would make fun of me the way when they were younger, and I'd go and tuck them in and pray over them, and I'd say, oh, bless this child, you know. And so when I was sick and I'd be laying in bed, they'd come in and they'd go, oh, bless this child, and they'd rub my bald head and they'd go, good night, crazy lady. And I say, ah, sure, sure. You know, I said, hopefully it'll grow back, and it did. That was tough.
To me, I feel like those people, your support system, are always the ones that can kind of help you get through those situations.
Absolutely. I would wear a bandana when I went to the Y all the time. And one Friday, I have such amazing people that I exercise with, and I didn't know any of these people before I got sick. I showed up at the Y one day, and everybody in the boot camp class, including the guys, everybody was wearing a pink bandana. And so they would have pink bandana Fridays. It's amazing how my sickness, it brought me such great friends. These people that now I do all these activities with and things like that. It was amazing. My faith, my family, my friends, and now this group of 12 in my pack, from young girls to, I think our oldest is turning 61, and we do a lot of different events and things like that.
That's truly amazing.
Yeah. One of the things that we do, my Dale that lives with us, he's from the Gertrude Barber Center. They have an event called Beast on the Bay, and it's a 10-mile obstacle course. On the beach, through the sand, through the water, all different kinds of stuff. The first year I signed up, I ended up having a surgery and I couldn't do it, and I hurt my back, so that didn't happen. But the next year, everybody was doing it. And actually, one of the guys that we run with, I don't even know how it started. One day we were running and he was going, come on, Anne-Marie, you gotta get a little faster. And I said, leave me alone, Nana's tired, because I'm older than them, you know. So my nickname became Nana at the Y. When I was thinking about doing the Beast on the Bay, they're like, oh, come on, Nana, you can do this with us. And I said, all right, well, who's gonna throw Nana over the wall? This group of amazing people, we did the obstacle course, and I've done 3 of them now with them. I would not have ever done it on my own, but they have managed to, you know, push and pull and tug and stuff like that.
Sometimes you need other people to motivate you to do things that you don't think you could do yourself.
Absolutely. Because would I have done these things on my own? Maybe the first half, because that was something deep down inside. When anybody has suggested something to me, I think, what are you waiting for? How much longer? I mean, my MS has been, I would say, what they would call like in remission. I haven't had any new episodes or flare-ups or anything like that. There's times when I'm running that they're always telling me, Anne-Marie, pick your feet up. You know, you can hear my feet drag a little bit. I have times where I have to rest and maybe take a week off. I have to listen to my body. When you have people around you that encourage you and try different things, and it's all out of my comfort zone. I do not know how you compete. You know, you're on that football field and the crowd and the stuff, because I just start crying at the national anthem every time. I can't even make it through that. I remember the very first time I did a 5K. My kids were little. I think my son was 6 and the other one was 4. I was so nervous. I had never competed in anything, and I wasn't competing, I just wanted to finish. My older son said, Mom, why are you so nervous? I said, oh, Scotty, I don't know. He goes, Mom, what's the worst that can happen? He goes, you fall down, you die, you go to heaven. It's a win-win. I said, well, I don't know about that, but I think about that silly little statement every time before I start something new. I thought, what's the worst that can happen? Today I'm standing, today I can run. Tomorrow I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's in my future, but today I'm good.
You know, I try to have that same positive mindset with the stuff I'm dealing with. Can you tell me some of the things that you're doing now that you weren't doing before?
I've done 5 half marathons, 3 sprint triathlons, 1 duathlon, 2 bay swims across the bay. For the first time in my life, I own a bike, I own a kayak, I own a paddleboard, and I snowshoe. There's an event in Erie called the Quad where you swim in the spring, bike in the summer, run in the fall, and snowshoe in the winter. I've done that, and 3 Erie Beast on the Bays. That's the 10-mile obstacle course. So yes, in 6 years, that's what I have done. One of the most memorable ones was to mark my 5-year anniversary of breast cancer. I showed up at the Y one day and everybody was there. I didn't tell anybody it was my 50-year anniversary. And I walked into the Y and everybody had a pink tank top on. And the guys had pink stuff on, and it said stronger with every mile. You know, I cry now at everything. And they said, we're doing this, we're running this one for you. They even had headbands made, running with Anne Marie. That was huge. My first one was really something, a personal victory. The last one, I can't believe how God has blessed me with all these people and all these friends and such support. And that was a tough one for me. It was hot. My MS was flared up. I had to stop a couple times, which isn't easy for me because, you know, I like to keep going with the group. That one was a physical struggle. I completed it, and that was truly special. My friends are amazing people, so that was really great.
You're a busy woman.
I know. It keeps me sane. It helps me cope.
That's amazing. So how was your doctors at UPMC Hammett?
They were amazing. They really were. Everyone should have the care that I did. I called my doctor, and every one of my doctors is a UPMC doctor. I called my doctor, I said I had a lump. She had me in her office the next day. Within a week's time, I was having a sonogram. 4 days later, I was having a biopsy. And the doctor called me at work and told me it was cancer. Set up an appointment, and a couple days later, I was in the surgeon's office. I mean, within a month of my diagnosis, I was in surgery having a double mastectomy. And what was amazing was I had a nurse navigator, and all my doctors were communicating, and they even got my MS doctor involved. So every time I'd have a surgery or go under anesthesia, you know, everybody knew everything about me. I felt like I was in wonderful hands. I loved my doctors. He said, honey, don't worry, you're not dying today. Let's see what we're going with this. Even during my MS, I came down here to Pittsburgh to have my second opinions, and my doctors were good with that. But every diagnosis was the same, treatment was the same, so I stayed in Erie at UPMC Hammett and had everything done. For a horrible experience, it was truly blessed. It worked wonderfully.
It definitely seems like you had a positive mindset throughout the whole thing. You know, your family was truly with you, and amazing to have great care. I can relate with the doctors here at UPMC and how I've just been able to overcome tremendous adversity, and you've done the same thing.
You become close with your doctors, don't you?
Yeah, you become very close.
Oh my gosh, I mean, one of my doctors, my plastic surgeon, I saw him for years, every couple of months, and the day they say, okay, you can go now, I say, really? I don't want to be here, but I'm really going to miss you, you know?
It's like you build a friendship, and then now you might not see him for a while, or, you know, so.
It's a wonderful thing to, you know, say, okay, you're moving on, but yeah, you become really close with your doctors.
So what are some of the things that you have planned for the future?
Right now, we're in the middle of training for another half marathon. And actually, we're doing the Football Hall of Fame 100th anniversary. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So that'll be in April. So we're gonna go down to Canton. You get a big old fake Super Bowl ring, I think, as one of your medals. And the coolest part is we get to finish in the stadium.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
That should be a really good time.
Yeah. So that's fun. So we try and pick something, you know, once a year to do.
So is that going to be around the same time as the Hall of Fame game?
No, Hall of Fame game I think's in the summer, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the summer.
Yeah. So this is April, the last week of April.
Okay.
I don't know why, but they ask you on the bottom of your form, what's your favorite team? So, you know, mine said Steelers, of course. But I'm excited. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
When one of your clients may come in and they find out they have breast cancer or cancer, do you ever give them any advice or try to talk to them about it?
Yeah, we have a large clientele in our salon. Quite a few clients have, you know, struggled with different things, and I give them my phone number, and they call me, and you know, different things that they wouldn't think to ask about. I said, you know, just ask me whatever. And I understand every person's story is different, and I said every care can be different, but if I can help in any way, you know, I'm here for you. There's a funny story. I had a hairdresser friend who had cancer before me. And so she was done with her treatments, and she had had her reconstructive surgery. I didn't have my final surgery. I had, like, they call them expanders in your chest. And then there was another girl who said, I just found out I had breast cancer. What's gonna happen? So the three of us are all standing in a circle, and she's going, what am I gonna look like? So here we all are going, oh, this is what it's gonna feel like, and you know, just very personal things. People have helped me, so I try and help anybody, and I just look at them and I say, look at me, I'm standing here today. I didn't know where I was gonna be. It's okay. It doesn't mean today's your last day. And then I do try and tell them, I said, I tried to be a good steward of this body that God gave me, and tried to go out of my comfort zone with all the different things that I've done. You can do anything you want. You know, if God brings you to it, he can get you through it. Not that I'm anything special or anything, but I always say if I can do it, and I'm here, so it's okay.
I think sometimes God sends us messages or have us go through adversity to be able to help others.
Truly, truly. I can't even imagine. You never thought when you woke up that day and you played that game, I watched that game, you never thought that's how your day was going to end. Nobody thinks they're going to get that phone call, the diagnosis, or think too far down the line. I can't even imagine what you would have felt like that day.
I probably felt the same way you felt when you were in your salon. Like, I can't believe this isn't happening to me, but after a few days or having surgery, then you have to start looking in the mirror. It's like, it's either I'm going this way or that way. I want to go down a road that's less traveled. Sometimes taking the hard way, you have a bigger joy in it. You know, sometimes the journey is more fun than actually accomplishing the goal.
Yeah, my boys are big, movie buffs, and they all talk in movie sentences. One of their favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption. And I remember they always said to me, and they repeat this line, they go, well, you either get busy living or you get busy dying. And I think about that. You certainly didn't expect that to happen to you. I didn't expect, no, it has to be somebody else. I remember sitting in a movie theater when I was going through my treatment. I was bald and I was wearing a wig, and it was winter time, and I had the expanders in my chest, so they're uncomfortable, but that gets you ready for the next surgery. And I'm sitting in the movie theater with my husband, and I'm just looking around going, I can't breathe. I can't believe this is me. Like, I just wanted to run out of there, rip the wig off. I just wanted my body back. You know, what's happening to my body? My body's okay. Yeah, I got some new stuff or whatever. You understand. Yeah. I mean, you understand on a massive level.
I definitely understand. Sometimes you want to be one way or the way you were before, but sometimes you just have to talk to yourself and adjust and just understand, hey, this is me now, and I'm going to either live with it or just be upset about who I am now. And I just felt like I'd rather enjoy my life and be me as a person and don't let that affect how I am every day instead of being sad about my circumstance.
Yeah, my husband, oh my gosh, I love him so much. He'd say to me, Anne-Marie, stop trying to be normal in an unnormal situation. It's okay. Just embrace the normal. This is the new we're going to do. It's going to be okay. And I kept trying to think, I want to feel different. I want to do this different. And he'd say, you got to go with today. It's so true. And when you're in the storm sometimes and you can't see. And when the waves settle, and then I sit here and say, I did that in 6 years? How did I do that? I have MS. I had cancer. How did I do that? It's just pretty cool. So what I feel like sometimes it's given me is a new lease on life. I'm so out of my comfort zone when I go to these things. So it's just pretty cool. I'm thankful to God that he put these things in front of me with his strength. I was able to go through them, and it brought me new friends. It brought me new adventures. I mean, I'm 56 years old and I got a paddleboard, and that's so cool. I just love being on that paddleboard.
He brought you things that you never thought you would experience or never thought you would love. I'm Ryan Shazier. I want to thank you for listening to my 50 Phenoms podcast. Follow along with me by visiting upmc.me/50phenoms. Sign up to receive our emails and text alerts too.